morning from NICAR. Thank you for joining our monthly webinar where we provide commercial real estate content, have a Q&A, and give everyone an opportunity to advertise their number one priority, whether it be listings, it could be buyer, seller, landlord, tenant, or some other project, or even if you're just here to learn about commercial real estate. We appreciate your feedback. So if you have topics that you'd like to see or presenters that you would like to see on, highly recommend that. It is posted on the NICAR events page, along with other NICAR events, which I strongly encourage you to attend, whether it be broker breakfasts. We have CGBN, which is our international side, always open to new ideas. And this topic, so just so you know, with these recordings, we do put them on the NICAR page and the YouTube, and the part is that we are bringing on presenters who are volunteering their time and giving us good content. So this particular month, I did ask Steve Smullin to present before us. I met Steve quite a few years ago at another broker type event, and we have been regularly going to National Council of Exchanger meetings that happen 4 times a year in Vegas. And what happens there in the room is all kinds of different ways that we can get deals done. And what Steve is very knowledgeable in many of the topics that happen there because he's been going for many, many years. But one of the very introductory topics is on equity marketing. And so he is going to give a very, very concise tidbits on equity marketing. And that if you would like to learn more, I highly encourage you to either attend the NCE meetings where we give a full day on that content, or he will also mention a few other upcoming events. So he has a very long bio. Steve Smullin, thank you for coming on, and go ahead and tell us what you want to tell us about yourself and share equity marketing with us.
Well, I'm just going to invite you to go to solutions88.com and you can check out my bio there, and I'm not going to bore you with all of that stuff. I will say that I've spent most of the last 35 plus years as what I refer to as a distressed asset specialist, focusing on commercial and investment real estate. And I started out, I was with NICAR before NICAR existed. And what I mean by that is I worked in the office of one of the founding fathers of NICAR, the second president, Dennis Gillig. I worked in his office all those years back and met with him and Tony Perry during the formative years of NICAR before it actually began. But enough of the history lessons. You can look me up at solutions88.com if you want to know anything about me at all. And I'll mention some more at the end. We're going to dive right into this. So let's see if we can get my screen share to work properly. You have to tell me if I did it right because I can't see the screen share. And I'm going to take just a moment and do some screen rearranging here so that I can work better and see what I'm doing. Okay, so I'm Steve Smullin. This is a drastically edited version of my workshop, Introduction to Equity Marketing, Trading, and Exchanging Real Estate. One of the chapters in the ongoing series, Brainstorming and Problem Solving, and we'll go more into that later on. Let's just dive right into what we have to talk about here today. So I like to start out with a very, very what I call a foundational rule. This is Real Estate 0.101. That's a foundational rule to all real estate transactions. And I use here so that everybody can relate to it. Most of us can relate to a house. We have a $300,000 house, and it's got a $200,000 mortgage on it. That's the lender's equitable interest in the property. And so the owner's equity interest in the property is $100,000. And we know we're all in the real estate business. That's a gross equity. There's going to be transactional expense is taken from that $100,000 portion. And if the seller of that property knows you and likes you and trusts you, there may be even a brokerage fee taken out of that $100,000 there. So there are four ways that the seller, to give the seller their equity so that the seller can go away happy. First, there's the lump sum. That's the proverbial bag full of cash on the closing table. The second way is in pieces. And if you think in terms of a contract sale or an installment sale, you understand the concept of pieces. And the third is different form. And today we're going to be talking about the different form. And then the fourth is a combination of the first three. And you might have noticed the dancing letters there. I seek sellers. I really like sellers who will accept 2, 3, or 4 for their equity. So let's look at the alternatives to begin with. Cash, the tradable that everybody thinks they want. The benefits of cash, of course, are that it buys anything that's for sale. There's no management, there's no decisions involved, it's portable, and it has recognized value. So there's lots of takers for cash. But the disadvantages of cash are, until converted, there's no return at all. If you stuff your cash in your mattress, it's doing nothing whatsoever for you. There's low yields, it's inversely affected by inflation, and it's taxable and visible. Notes and other paper, stocks, bonds, deeds of trust, leases, securities, they're fairly liquid, saleable, spendable, and the cash flow is usually better than cash. They're portable, they're assignable, there's really no management. You can pick up value, you can buy low and sell them for high, you can change the terms. The disadvantages, of course, are that they're a depreciating asset. As that mortgage balance is paid down, eventually it hits zero. And they do require some financial ability to hold and to cure when problems arise. Unimproved bare land can appreciate. Buy bare land in the path of progress, you'll do well. And you don't have to do anything. It requires no management, and there's very little liability associated with bare land. The disadvantages are there's no tax shelter, and if you have debt, if it's encumbered, it can consume a lot of your income, what we refer to as an alligator. And land is not portable. It is where it is. Improved property, homes, units, commercial, cash flow, it's tradable. You'll see I have a line there through liquidity. At different periods of time, different kinds of property become very illiquid. Think about houses back in 2008, 2009. Or just look at DuPage County, Illinois, and office buildings, and you'll understand how illiquid real estate can become. And then also leverage and liquidity both tend to change from time to time. I'll bet in both of those market cycles, many people are very, very challenged to get leveraged on their real estate. And but again, the benefits are that it's also tradable. Disadvantages are it's stationary and it requires management and usually requires some knowledge as well. The reality is anything can be used to buy real estate. Notes, contracts, options and settlements, houses, apartments, storage, cars, boats, airplanes, vacant stores, warehouses, land. Anything can be used to buy real estate. Everything you see on this screen has been offered at an equity marketing, trading, exchanging session that I've personally attended. The Fitness Now is a shopping center down in Texas. The gas station, I don't recall where it's at. The manufactured homes was on a 1-acre lot in New Mexico. The meeting hall down in the right-hand corner, if I remember correctly, that was in Colorado. The apartment building on the left was Sioux City, Iowa. And the white multifamily up there on the left center was in Massachusetts. And the cash shows up in abundance at every marketing session, including in the worst of times. There's always people looking for opportunity. And this isn't a new concept by any stretch of the imagination. In 1626, a Dutchman traded beads, cloth, and other trinkets to some Indians for the island of Manhattan. But let's look at a transaction that most people can relate to. Let's say that it's time to buy a new car. You decide you're going to get yourself the new Honda Accord, and you can tell by the price there that this is not a new presentation. So you decide you're going to buy yourself a new Honda Accord. We go to the Honda Accord store, and we tell the salesman there that we want to buy the new one, and we want to give him our old used car as a trade-in, partial payment for that. And he says, well, we're familiar with that car. We've been servicing it since you bought it new from us. We know it well. We'll give you $5,000 for it. And you've known for a while that you're going to be buying a new car, so you set aside $10,000 cash. And if you're like a lot of folks, you then signed a $15,000 new car mortgage, and we get a new Honda Accord. What happened? We bought a new Honda Accord, giving the seller their equity so that they could go away happy. $5,000 was that used car is the different form that we talked about in those 4 foundational rules of real estate. Now, it might be a car for a car, but we think of transactions in the term of cash, and this is a different form of payment. Then there's the $10,000 lump sum that we added to that transaction. And then we got a $15,000 loan. That's actually a second lump sum of cash to the seller, but it's pieces to us, the buyer. We used a combination of the first 3 to give the seller what their equity so that they could go away happy. CCIM from California, Bill Broadbent, put together this graphic some years back, and I kind of sexied it up for my presentation purposes. Bill tells us that if there's 2 cash buyers for your property in the entire marketplace, that there's 4 times more buyers for your property with notes. And there's 6 times more takers with other types of property. And when you're geographically flexible, there's 8 times more takers for your property in a given marketplace. And when you can add cash or notes to your equity, there's 12 times more takers for your property when you're flexible. But potential takers can, where did I go there? Potential takers can disappear in smoke because of a seller's inflexibility. The idea is that we use our real estate exactly the same way that we do our old used car. We go to the marketplace and we spend our houses, we spend our apartment buildings, we spend our shopping centers and use them as partial payment to get what we want. Dr. Wayne Dyer, in his program, How to Get What You Really, 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 Really Want, taught us that most people don't really want what they think they want. They only think what they want is the only way to get what they really want. I'm going to say that again because that kind of confuses many. Most people don't really want what they think they want. They only think what they want is the only way to get what they really want. We often forget that buildings don't make deals, people make deals. And value is a perception. The value of anything is directly proportionate from the benefits that we receive from it. And a benefit is something that's advantageous or good. A payment or gift, of course, we think of as a benefit. And being in business, we all think of profit as being a benefit to us. Price is what you pay, but value is what you get. Years ago, on one of my quests to raise money for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society, this little princess and her mother drove up to the Grand Canyon to meet with me. And when she got up there, she suffered some very, very severe breathing problems. She was having really, really severe asthma attacks. And you have to ask yourself, In an emergency, what's more important, price or benefits? How many people go shopping for where's the cheapest place for me to go when I'm having a heart attack? Your loved ones are in trouble. Well, ask yourself the same thing in a real estate emergency. What's more important, price or benefits? We look at needs versus wants. At the beginning of the 20th century, the average person had 72 wants and considered 18 of them actually important. And by the end of the century, the average American had 496 wants, considering 96 of them as genuine needs for happiness. How many times have you heard somebody say, I need that new iPhone? As I just mentioned, I'm a hiker, and I often find myself miles away from the car or the camp or the lodge. And I've on more than one occasion found myself caught in a storm. And when that happens, what I need is shelter from the storm. I once had to roll over and hide underneath the canoe to protect myself from a storm. What I really wanted was to be back at the lodge or the cottage or anywhere to be protected from the storm. To understand the difference between needs and wants is really critical in dealing with people's real estate problems and situations. I actually know a woman that would say that she needs this house. And Maslow's hierarchy of needs tells us our basic needs are food and shelter and warmth. And we advance up to psychological needs of security and health, and we arrive at safety. We move on to connection, love, and belonging, to a sense of community and esteem. We seek out respect, and we rise to the top, realizing your potential, self-actualization. Needs. We start with the basic needs, and we work on from there. This comes from a real estate formula of the week I sent out last year. Actually, not a formula, but an important lesson in real estate. There are real estate practitioners who have been in business for 25 years. Unfortunately, it's been a repeat of their first year 25 times over. Then there are real estate professionals who improved each year for a total of 25 years. The difference between a 1 times 25 agent and a 1 through 25 agent is education. If you're not growing, you're falling behind. You can subscribe to my formula of the week at solutions88.com. I'm your wealth building partner. I share real estate formulas and strategies and educational information and opportunities. Here we have the average uninformed buyer or broker who has but one strategy they've been practicing for 25 years. Notice the difference in a person losing his property to foreclosure scheduled to be completed in 30 days. One strategy. A free and clear house rented at a high rate. One strategy. A person who has just inherited a motel 1,000 miles away in a bad part of town and has no idea how to run it. One single strategy for every situation. How about a wealthy person owning a warehouse leased to Coca-Cola for 20 years? One single strategy for every situation. Individual motivation cannot be overlooked. By the way, a variation of every one of these examples here has been offered at an exchange meeting somewhere in the country at some time. And in fact, very often, all of these things arrive at the exact same marketing meeting. So why do people exchange real estate? Or should I say, why do people transact real estate? To defer recapture provisions, to upgrade the quality of investments, to increase or decrease leverage, to generate cash. Yes, you can generate cash in an exchange of equity in a real estate transaction for future income rather than immediate income. A lot of people find it hard to believe that people don't want income now. There are a lot of people in our environment that have too much income. They don't want income today. Income today just means paying more taxes to people that have too much income now. To eliminate management by acquiring no management property, for faster depreciation via a better land to improvement ratio, to exchange investment location. Because of changes in trends, boy, we've certainly seen a lot of changes in trends in recent years. To move the personal residence, business, or investment to the beach or the desert, the city, the country, the hills, the mountains, the farms, from any one geography to another, they find more appealing and attractive. To make a profit. Yes, we're often driven by profit in making deals in real estate. To increase income, to reduce indebtedness, to consolidate holdings, to avoid capital gains. Yes, you'll see number 45 on this incomplete list is people exchange real estate to avoid capital gains. And how about to eliminate a partner? And we don't mean that in the Chicago sense of eliminating a partner. Let's look at another example here. Let's just say that you're a rehabber and you just finished rehabbing this house and it's perfect. Well, I'm going to ask you, if I were to pay you all cash for your property, what would you do with the money? Well, chances are pretty strong if you're a rehabber, you're a developer, you're looking for your very next project. Some of you will recognize this is what they call a shotgun down in Louisiana. And that's because you can stand at the front door, and shoot a gun through the house without hitting anything. The back door is perfectly aligned, free and clear through. And if you are selling this property down in Louisiana that needs some work, I would ask you, if I were to pay you all cash for your property, what would you do with the money? And you might have your eyes on that high-rise development out there on the outskirts of town. Recognizing individual needs helps you stand out in the crowd. When we focus on benefits, everybody wins. How are we doing time-wise, Teresa?
If you are able to kind of wrap up in a couple minutes, I'm sure people have a lot of questions, and
All right, no, I just asked because this is a video that I usually start this class. This, by the way, is an extremely edited version of a 3 to 4 hour presentation, and it usually starts with this 16-minute video. So I highly encourage you, after our session today, that you go to YouTube and you search for One Red Paperclip and you watch the 2020 News Magazine video of One Red Paperclip. It's a fascinating story, actually one that this 3 to 4 hour presentation was built upon all those years back here. So look for the 2020 presentation.
This young man's been getting a lot of attention this week.
We're not going to listen to it now. If you'd like to see the full-blown workshop, I'm going to be teaching this workshop, the Introduction to Equity Marketing, Trading, and Exchanging Real Estate, also known as How to Get What You Want Using What You've Got, down at the Champaign, Illinois Real Estate Exchangers in June. And if you'd like to attend the all-day presentation followed by a workshop, tuning up your listings, your offerings for the marketplace, I'll be doing the all-day workshop as I do twice a year at the National Council of Exchangers meeting. My next class is scheduled for the October meeting in Las Vegas, Nevada. So you're welcome to join us there. We can get you some information if you'd like. You can connect with me through solutions88.com. And again, while you're there, subscribe to the Real Estate Formulas of the Week. Let's open up for some questions.
Great. If you can stop the screen share, and if any of you have questions, use the raise hand And I'll start off with some questions. So some words that you've put in there that maybe you could put a little bit of definition around while people think of their other questions, Steve, is understanding what it means by formulas or notes. Could you kind of explain what those words mean and maybe give a quick example?
Sure, I'm going to start with notes because we should all, being in the real estate business, that when we borrow money from a bank, we sign a note and a mortgage. The note is the document that defines the terms of the loan. The mortgage is the security instrument that secures the note by a property, or as the case was in our example, a car. Same thing. It's a security agreement assignment, but the note is the terms of the loan. And there's many people all across the country that buy and sell and trade and personally finance notes and mortgages. People make loans and they use notes and mortgages or deeds of trust just the same as a bank does. Formulas, on the other hand, to answer your other question, a formula is a proven structure, transactional structure that has worked time and time again to solve a particular real estate related problem. I have a half-day workshop on real estate formulas, and we have rescue formulas. Those are formulas for people that are in trouble, such as foreclosure formulas, lack of cash flow, needs rehab. There's all sorts of rescue formulas. And then we have estate building or wealth building formulas. So there's rescue formulas and wealth building formulas. Both are included in the formulas workshop that I do.
Okay. It's something you talked about was when we go up, and whether it's NCE or local exchange groups, when we are presenting listings, what we say is we explain what the property is, whether it's a multifamily, the asset, the size, just basically given the basic descriptions. We might talk about what's the debt and equity. We talk about what is the return, or is it just land? Are you banking this? So we explain the property, but then we go into what some of the benefits are. So you kind of went through some of those benefits. Can you expand on not just why is this important? When we go to these exchange meetings, what are people looking for in benefits? What do you typically see? And, kind of expand on benefits a little bit.
So you have that just a little bit inside out, but yes, we do cover all those things. Actually, what we like to get out very early on at the front end of the presentation. And by the way, this is a typical equity marketing meeting, what we call a package, a presentation package format. And we have at the title, the top of the title, we describe there what we have and where it's located at. But then we quickly, can you see my pointer there?
Yes.
Then we quickly get to the benefits the property offers to the taker. Okay. And the taker is somebody that wants your property. We've all listed properties at some time, or most of us have listed property at some time in our career. And we say we're looking for a buyer, but when we use the term buyer, we tend to narrow our thinking to just dollars for a transaction. Who's going to give me dollars for a transaction? And ideally, we'd like to find somebody that's literally going to drop the bag full of cash on that closing table, or at minimum, get cash and mortgage to show up at that closing table. But when we open our mind to the numerous different ways to transact real estate, we change our verbiage, we change our language to a taker. We want to find somebody that's going to take what it is that we're offering. And one of the lessons that we learn, and I spend time on in the workshop, is the marketing aspect of it. And in Marketing 101, you learn that people shop features, but they buy benefits. That's an important one. People shop features, but they buy benefits. And so very early on, in the first 30 seconds, we want to get out what are the benefits that this property is offering to a taker. I just showed you a list of 48 reasons that people transact. That's an incomplete list. That's an old list. There's a greater one out there that I use now in the classroom. But the reasons people transact real estate are for the benefits. People buy a house because it's in the school district they want their kids to go to, not because it's got the latest backsplash at the kitchen counters. The backsplash is a feature of the property. The carpet is a feature. That shower coming from every direction is a feature that you can put into virtually any house. But you can't put all of the houses in that perfect school district. Chances are there's not a lot of room to put another house in that perfect school district. So people shop features, but they buy benefits.
So Steve, looking at this sheet here, a lot of times we understand, oh, it's a 9 cap, that's suitable for what I'm looking for, or it's turnkey, so there's no deferred maintenance. So we might understand those things. Why is it important? Why do we always want to ask what the debt to equity ratio is?
Well, not so much what the debt to equity ratio is, but what the debt is on the property. The best financing on any property is the existing financing. Mm-hmm. In just about any situation, the best financing on any property is the existing financing. And whenever we can find seller financing on a property, it's that much more attractive. And people say nobody wants to do seller financing, but the reality is that people that have a deeper understanding and have been involved in investment for some time, actually, many of them like to do seller financing. For one thing, because when they seller finance the sale of a property, they don't get a great big fat giant capital gains tax bill. They can stretch those gains out over years. Theoretically, if structured properly, they can avoid the taxes altogether.
Okay. So I'm going to pick on Getty. I'm going to tell you the question, Getty, and then go back to Steve so you have a moment to think about it. Getty had recently went to a National Council of Exchanger meetings, and I want him to come back with what was beneficial to him, why he went there, why he's continuing to show up, what was so interesting to him there. So Steve, from your viewpoint, why should someone go to a National Council of Exchange meeting or down to NOAA's exchange meetings? What are the benefits to the people here or anyone watching?
Well, first I want to say hi, Getty. It's good to see you. I saw your name on there, and shame on me, I didn't even recognize it. I don't know if it was pure coincidence or if it was a plant, but Getty sat next to me for 3 days at the last NCE meeting in Las Vegas. So it's good to see you again. That's a very good question, Getty. Oh, by the way, Getty is a beneficiary of our change in license law in Illinois. Getty Greer is practicing commercial real estate at 18 years old.
19, but semantics.
Unmute yourself, Getty, and join the conversation if you would, please.
So before he answers, Steve, what you have been going for many years as an experienced practitioner and thinking of alternate ways of getting deals done, explain what are the benefits for people to attend exchange meetings, which is somewhat of a little bit of a misnomer because there's more that happens there.
Well, for one thing, I found the best real estate education I've gotten anywhere, including attending a number of the CCIM courses and workshops. The best education I've ever gotten anywhere in real estate was at the exchange environment. The Society of Exchange Counselors has always had the best education. The National Council of Exchangers has really top-notch education. And I'm very proud to say that I'm now on the teaching faculty at the National Council of Exchangers. I don't mean to be patting myself on the back, but I'm now working with the people that taught me. By the way, the reason I do that is because I made in my mission, my personal values and mission statement years ago, the promise that I would pass on to those that follow all of the education that those that came before me. And those guys are dying. We heard as recently as yesterday, another one of the old timers that was really, really brilliant at real estate passed away. We won't go into that at the moment. But another, the education is a great reason that I've attended for years, but also in the worst of times when nobody can get a real estate transaction done, I have always found the exchange meetings to be a place to be able to go and get a transaction done. When you need to make a deal, that's a place to get it done.
So Getty, can you unmute yourself and tell us a little bit about your experience in at NCE in Vegas, whether you want to say this is how it really helped you. Just give us a little tidbit.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep, you're good.
Yeah, firstly, thank you, Teresa, Steve. I did get to sit by Steve at the last Las Vegas meeting, and it was great to be able to learn from him. I know we were going back and forth a little bit here and there, and he was definitely teaching me a lot. But I think it can really be simplified a little bit. I'm new, but my idea of exchanging is that you're opening the horizon for your clients and yourself. So, generally, I guess a stereotype for real estate is, yeah, the buyer, bring cash or bring a mortgage and some cash and you get the deal done. Well, that's not always how it works, and that's not always what some investors seek. And so coming from residential land before commercial, it just has completely opened the door. And I believe the phrase is drinking from a fire hose on just how much more you can do being an exchanger and learning the formulas and meeting different people like Steve and Teresa and coming to these meetings and hearing how people can facilitate transactions and being completely transparent. It's changed the way that I've done business, and it's changed the way that I'm working in the industry. So I've taken out of Vegas. I'm working on a couple things, and I think that it's incredibly important to keep getting involved. And funnily enough, on my goal sheet for the year, I have a phrase that is, I believe it's growth comes through learning and learning leads to success. And I believe that the exchangers groups, regardless of where they're located nationally or locally or statewide, is exactly where you learn to become more successful. So that's what I've got.
Thank you very much. And so,
by the way, he wasn't paid to say that. I didn't actually even realize he was going to be here. Thanks for joining us, Getty. There are exchange groups all over the country. There used to be one in Chicago back in the 1990s. I was the president of the Chicago area real estate exchangers, and the second or third year of NICAR's existence, we got together, CARE, the Chicago area real estate exchangers, with NICAR to do a regional marketing session. And back in those days, I'd say that was a pretty successful experience. Indiana, the Indiana Real Estate Exchangers, IREX, has been in existence for decades that I'm aware of, and there's some really brilliant people there. I'm going to be teaching my class to the Kentucky Real Estate Exchangers at their Derby Days marketing session, a very, very popular marketing session that they do the week leading up to the Kentucky Derby. They have a fabulous turnout, and I'm going to be teaching their group my class, Profits and Opportunities in Commercial Real Estate. It's really an introduction to commercial real estate. It probably bore the heck out of a CCIM educated individual, but for people transitioning from residential to commercial real estate, that's really the audience that it was designed for. And by the way, you can find all of the classes and workshops and so forth at solutions88.com under the brainstorming tab. Did you have more questions, Teresa?
No, I was going to ask if
Oh,
anyone.
I wanted to point out one other thing here. Can you see my pointer?
Yes.
I'm pointing down here to motivation. We have on our exchange package format. This is actually the Reno format, we call it. Richard Reno is the granddaddy of the equity marketing environment. He's written books, he's nationally recognized, he's in Who's Who of Real Estate, and on and on. He is the granddaddy of equity marketing, trading, and exchanging real estate. And on the exchange format, the Reno format here, we have motivation. And the motivation is from 1 to 10. 1 being, if somebody's dumb enough to give me that amount of money for my property, I'm willing to sell it. And 10 being, I will pay to get out of this deal. I have been paid to take people out of their deals, and I have turned down tens of thousands of dollars offered to me because it wasn't enough money for me to take on their problem. I have accepted money to take over somebody's problem, and I've turned down large amounts of money because it wasn't enough to take over somebody's problem.
So
You don't
Steve,
find that in the MLS.
you gave some resources. You talked about you teaching some of the classes, going to NCE, looking at that YouTube video. Is there a book that you highly recommend anyone reads?
Boy, and exchanging real estate. You know, actually, there's a book that I suggest you read. I forget if it was published in 2017 or 2019, called The 3-Minute Rule. The 3-Minute Rule by Brant Panvidic, I believe his name is. Brant has put more programs on television than anybody in the history of America. And he has published his formula for getting the attention of a TV producer so that they buy his product. The 3-Minute Rule is the Reno format. It is the exact same thing. Reduce your offering, simplify, simplify, simplify to the most relevant information to get somebody's attention. When you're talking to somebody that you will hope to be a taker for your property, your goal is not at that moment to sell them your property. Your goal is to get them to want to talk to you more.
Thank you.
People make the mistake of trying to sell their property here and now. Your goal is to want to get me to call you, not to sell me your property. I always ask people in the meeting who brought $1 million with them, who's got $300,000 in their checkbook, in their briefcase, and nobody ever brought the money with them. They're not buying your property here and now. Your goal is to get them to want to talk to you to learn more.
That's exactly right. So with that, we will be ending the recording session here in just a minute. Please do go to the NICAR page, which hopefully you're okay with sharing the slides as well, right, Steve? For people to flip through?
Yeah, I got to figure out how to do that. I just edited this down from a 3 to 4 hour session to fit the time allotment that we have here now today. And so, I'm going to take the liberty of throwing something in that I use at have-want sessions on Zoom and in live meetings.
Okay.
We're going to move on now to Who Wants Real Estate? Yes, back in 2009 when the market crashed in condos, everybody was selling condos. I built a condo truck instead of an ice cream truck.
That's very funny. So after we end this recording, we will have a networking session. Please do visit the NICAR page. We also have the YouTube page. And if you have any suggestions for presenters in the future and or content that you would like to learn about, please contact me, the chair, Teresa Mueller. We're happy to hear that. Thank you very much, Steve, for presenting today, and hopefully some of the audience will attend one of your sessions and or look through the resources that you've provided. I appreciate your time and effort. Thank you, and see you next time at CRE Broker Forum through NICAR.